get this sucker charged up to be present with you guys and to remind you. And it was based on this change. I was thinking about how many times in the past I'd really, hey YouTube, what's up guys? Worried terribly about the future or when I'd been lost in the past. I don't know if that's gonna work. Let's get this sucker lined up. I'd been really lost in the past, which was a problem. Worrying about the future. What's gonna happen? Let me try to prevent something from happening, manipulate something into happening. I'm still with you, YouTube. Give me a minute. And when you and I are lost in the past, or when we are worrying about the future, we miss all of our present power. That's really where every single light's not great in this direction. That's really where every single ounce of our power is in the now. That's where the real you exists in the now, right here and now. That's it. Camera's a little shoddy, a little shady. If I get it up here, but whatever. I'm just trying to get the YouTube light situation. That's a little better. All right, not the best, but we'll just roll with it. So I was making changes to my blog, and I was thinking, okay, time for a chat. Are you lost in the past, worrying about the future, or in the powerful present? Now, in the now, that's where all of our power is. That's where we have everything. Once you start worrying about the future, or you find yourself lost in the past, and this is all in your mind. Of course, everything is in your mind. You begin to sacrifice, forfeit, give up your power. You let it go, and everything begins to dissipate only because of your mental decision. It's because of your mind choice. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing going on here. There's no circumstance has power over you or your mind. No past experience has power over you or over your mind. No future anxiety or worry, something you're worrying about, has any power over you or your mind, or over your mind, which is in essence what you are. But you have to remind yourself of this by training your mind, because unless you do, you're going to spend so much of your time during this transitory human experience, which you really aren't human. You're a spirit, you're a mind, in what appears to be this human body. You're going to appear to waste this experience worrying and regretting, feeling guilty, feeling anxious, and then making these life decisions, quote unquote, your job, your business, your family, your whatever you choose in this lifetime. You can come through, babe, if you're coming. Just decided to do it live in the living room because I was being in the moment. That completely forfeits or sacrifices or gives up just all of your power. It's not almost like you are in reality an infinitely powerful being. You're a spirit, your mind. The more you train it, you realize that you're spirit. That's all you are, which can be anything. It's limitless. Yet you waste that on a worldly level. Say you waste it, you forfeit it, you sacrifice it, you give it up because you're making all these choices in your mind based on being really worried about the future or really regretful about the past. Guilt is one of these. You come through here, babe. Oh, okay. Guilt is one of these anchors that holds us down. We feel guilty about what we did in the past, about what we felt in the past. So in your mind, and again, everything is in your mind. In your mind, when you're feeling guilty about the past, and that's occupying your mind through your choice, although in many cases it's completely unconscious, you have virtually no power right now in the moment. And when you feel like you don't have power in the moment, you'll be making guilty choices. And when you're making guilty choices, you'll be making choices with that weighed down, heavy, stressful, uninspired, unhappy, scared intent, energy. Call it energy or vibe if you want on a worldly level, but you'll just feel bad. And when you feel bad, the choices that you make will appear to make you feel bad or even worse. And this process will continue to unfold until you become more and more and more aware of what's going on in your mind, what you're thinking, what's really going on in your mind. Now that's the past and guilt. Then you have what we've all done and what we want to be more and more mindful of. We worry about the future. Worrying, fear, being afraid that something's going to happen, being afraid that something won't happen, being afraid of what people will think about you or appear to do in response to you observing some situation unfold or not unfold. So when you're in the future, Raisin bread? Okay. When you're in the future and you're worrying about it, even if you're not technically, you're still not in the present, you're wasting away your present. You're wasting away your power. You can't be powerful, feel empowered, and make powerful choices, do things for fun and love and helping and service if you are so worried about the future, or you so deeply regret the past, you feel so guilty about it. All of your power is in the moment. All of it is in the now. All of it is in your present. It's right now. That's it. It's like in the Course of Miracles, the teaching is that the miracles unfold in the holy instant through spirit. You can call it the Holy Spirit, call it your intuition, you can even call it your gut. It's just that inner intent, that inner driver that just knows everything. It knows your greatest good, but it knows the greatest good for all, because we're all really one. The separation is an illusion. The body is an illusion. Physical world is an illusion. But that's where the magic happens. That's where everything really begins to pop. That's where you will feel better. Maybe sometimes you'll feel a little anxious, a little worried. You'll feel that unconscious or conscious stuff surface because it will feel so uncomfortable to make a decision right now only for the now and only for fun and something you'd love to do and something that would be helpful. When you begin to make decisions in your mind, everything's in your mind with the moment, the instant, nothing in the future, nothing you're going to get. It's called the getting mechanism, nothing you're going to get out of it. When you begin making decisions right now, not based on the guilt of the past, not based on, I'm not going to do that again, or not based on, I remember this happening and that was so horrible, so I'm just going to try to make decisions to prevent pain, to prevent fear, to prevent suffering. When you just make decisions right now, what would feel really fun and freeing? What feels like it would be just enjoyable, like right now, because I'm helping someone and asking for nothing in return? That's love. In the Course, love only gives, it never asks. The point stressed in the Course again and again. And then you may look at your life and you may say, in my mind, again, everything's in our mind. It's how we're thinking and feeling and choosing. A lot of times unconscious, it appears we're not choosing, but it's still your mind. You may see that you've designed your life, you've engineered it almost exclusively to get something out of it, which of course pulls you right out of the holy instant. It pulls you right out of the moment. and it pulls you into the future. And when you really get deeper and deeper into your mind, you start to realize that the future and the past are the same, even though one appears to be ahead and one appears to be in the past. These choices you're making, future choices, choices for the future, or choices based on the past, they're intricately linked. You're worrying about something in the future and you make a choice because of something that occurred in the past. Well, I did this to try to prepare myself for the future because when I did the other thing in the past, really sucked. I ran into some big problems. Either choice pulls you right out of the now, because when you're in the now, when you're in the moment, you're not thinking about what you're going to get or what happened. You're just here. You're just here right now. You, me, if you're watching me on YouTube, you're seeing me in this shirt, sharing, you're just right now. You're not thinking about anything else. You're not projecting. You're not racing ahead to what you have to do in a bit. You're not racing back based on regret, guilt, something you enjoyed, something you're reminiscing about, some memory. You're just here. And you notice so much more. You see that's where all of your power is, because that's when you begin to notice seemingly everything. You become a hell of a lot more aware of what's going on in your mind. You become aware of your fears. You become of the choices you've been making from guilt and grief and sadness. And you also begin to step into these emotions, which is so important, guys, because you can't be powerful when in your mind, consciously, unconsciously, you are weighed down by fear, primarily manifest as guilt. How could you make free and guilty choices? If you feel bad about something, you feel bad about something you did do in the past, you didn't do, it's all moot anyway. It's all meaningless because it's all an illusion. Yet, just because it's an illusion doesn't mean you're going to say, oh, it's just an illusion. I feel great about, or I don't feel bad, or I feel great about what I appeared to do to my dad, to my mom, to my family, whatever, loved ones. You have to begin exploring those emotions, and that stuff comes up, or you allow that stuff up in the moment. Because as long as you're racing ahead, you won't face it. You'll bury it. As long as you're lost in the past, as long as you're really thinking about the past, trying to plan your future according to a past experience, past circumstance, past trauma, you won't be in the now and sit around, wait around, be present for those unconscious fears. And you'll see a lot of folks, maybe yourself, I've been there, goodness knows, and I still am, doing this video on YouTube, and Chat on Wisdom helps ground me. So when you think about right now, how much you're doing to avoid future fear based on past fear, you begin to process the idea that you can't be happy, you can't be free, you can't really have fun, you can't enjoy the moment when all of these conscious and unconscious fears are in your mind. And the only way to begin enjoying the moment is to become more and more aware, taking a deep breath, relaxing. Put yourself in a quiet room. Turn off your phone. Put it in a freaking lockbox if need be. Lock it away. Close the door in the room. Sit there. There, of course, are a lot of different methods. There's formal meditation. There is various forms of mind training, various forms of yoga. There's many paths. Course in Miracles, which is tremendous mind training. And I have to, hey, thanks, Elizabeth. Much appreciated. I have to, let's say thanks. put myself in a room, maybe rubber, preferably rubber if things even a little, hectic. And then once you put yourself in a room, this is just the simplest, let's say quickest is a process. It takes some time and mind training for sure, and patience and love and compassion. But it's to put yourself in a room, put your phone in a lockbox if need be, and sit there for 5 to 10 minutes. Pick your time frame and begin to observe what comes up in your mind, and you will begin to very quickly become intimately aware that you're addicted to time. Let's think of David Hoffmeister, Course of Miracles mentor. Call him Jesus' modern day disciple. Look him up on YouTube, guys. David Hoffmeister. Anything through A Course in Miracles. He's the man. Or appears to be. Spirit, the mind. You begin to see that you're addicted to time and that you're almost always thinking about the future or the past. You're like not right here now. You're not noticing the wall. You're not noticing the bed you're lying on. You're not noticing anything right now. You're thinking ahead. I got this to do later. No. I got this to do later. Or here's another one that's really common. And of course, it comes up with me when you're just sitting quiet. My body's fidgety. My mind won't stop racing. I'm so antsy. And then most people get up and leave that quiet room and they run away because they're terrified to sit with the fears in their mind, the egoic fears that say, your mind's racing, get out of here. Don't look in there. Your body is really stiff and tense, which is just your mind's projection because the body is an illusion. Get out of here. Don't face that. Don't dig deep. Because of course, the deeper you dig, that means the death of the ego, slow and steady. You'll live more in love, state of fun, state of happiness, state of service, where you're just helping and having fun and not looking for anything. And of course, you are always taken care of. You will be taken care of through spirit, through the oneness, through who you really are. But when you sit in that room, guys, that's when you're going to see like, oh my God, my life has been worrying about the future based on past guilt. And then making these decisions. I'm going to have a family because I'm afraid of missing out. I'm going to work this job because I'm afraid of not having money, starving, being homeless, and dying. I'm going to work this job because I'm going to have these things called health benefits, which will keep me alive. So I can just run around. And then I'll have these health benefits. So I'm afraid that I'll get sick and So I'm afraid I'll get sick and die. So I'll worry about the future for 40 years of my life, 50 weeks a year, thing in the US, 2 weeks of vacation. I remember my old job, it was just 1 week when I did the job thing. And I'll just worry about that. And then I'll give all this quote unquote human experience, this human experience you're having, to trying to just totally avoid the fear of getting sick and dying. I'll have health benefits because I'm so afraid. So I'll just work this job and you start to see like, how could I ever be empowered if I'm living terrified? How could I ever be in the moment? How could I be present? How could I trust my gut? How could I listen to my intuition? How can I do things just for the fun of it? Because all of your power, even though it appears to be the illusion that it's you thinking about the future and planning for it based on past experience, and that's guilt in the past, worrying about the past, this addiction to time, you're never going to access predominantly who you really are when you're in time, when you're out of the moment. And you are going to in the moment. And you want to think about these periods of your life when you're in the moment, you're in the zone, you feel like you're having so much fun, time appears to fly by, you're helping people or helping, minds without thinking about what you're going to get. You're just happy to serve. It's fun. That's where your power is. That's where the now is. That's where things really begin to pop. But you have to revisit that moment, not just for a moment every month, or every year, like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation, live a life of stress and time, worrying about the future and rushing around jobs. And again, guys, you're going to see sometimes it's just horrifying, sometimes sobering, sometimes horrifying, depends whatever's in your conscious, unconscious mind. When you look at your life and you're like, man, I've just been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm never in the moment, rarely in the moment. And this is where it starts, when you're honest with yourself and you tell yourself the truth, what's really going on in your mind, where you're like, I'm just trying to prevent bad things in the future from happening based on guilt from the past that I'm clinging to in my mind. I don't want to repeat that mistake. I don't want to repeat these mistakes that people made in my family in the future. And then you choose this life that totally pulls you out of the present. You're choosing to do it and your power. So instead of being in the moment and doing things for love and fun and in trust, you have a dream that would empower the world, but you're like, nah, I can't do that. That's a pipe dream. That's not realistic. That's all that future, past, fear, guilt thing again. And then you push it to the side, and then people go and work a job for 30, 40 years. Not because they love it. Some people do, but because they're terrified of running out of money. So it's like, I'm going to give these 40 years to avoiding the fear of not running out of money, to avoiding the fear of facing health issues. So I'll have this health insurance. And you spend most of those 40 years terrified of the future, guilty, afraid of the past, not in the moment. And you'll never know your power when you're rushing around in fear. When you're in the now, that's where the joy is, the fun, the happiness, the mindfulness. And one of the examples, I lead it off. I'm all right. Maybe second coffee time. I led off with this chat, this wisdom chat, and this YouTube chat, where intuitively I'm writing a number of reviews on Google. My intuition is just like, write the reviews. We've been to 80 zillion places, so write helpful reviews. I have fun doing it. It's fun revisiting, quote unquote, in the past, these experiences and providing something beneficial, because my wife Kelly and I have visited thousands and thousands of places all over the world, and most of them seem to have Google. Let's say they appear on Google Maps. So you could write reviews that are helpful. So I felt that intuitive nudge to do that. And as I've been doing that, I include a link on my profile back to my blog, and you can't hyperlink it, but there's still the link so people can copy and paste. And I'm getting some views, but it's really not about that. Because again, it's the giving, and it's having fun with that and allowing, trusting, having fun, being in the moment. And this all came up because I was in the moment. But I got this idea on my sidebar. I have mainly blogging tips, my most popular blogging tips posts. But intuitively, the intuition spirit sent me the idea, hey, you have these people visiting your blog from these Google reviews. On your sidebar, also place your travel posts. Because then the people who'll be seeing your travel advice, your reviews, when they visit your blog, they'll be able to see the travel posts. And this is just such a small but powerful example of when you're present, you'll see how you could be more helpful. And from there, that's where the magic happens. When you're present, you see the root of any of your problems, and it's always fear in your mind, but you get to see, oh, I'm having this problem because I have this fear in my mind. When you're present, you get to see that the only real joy in life is helping with no expectations. It's unconditional love. When you're present, you'll see how that unconditional love tunes you into anything that you need that you would view as being valuable in this world. When you're present, you see how all of your problems are your guilt. When you're present, you see all those moments when you feel so happy, where personal choice in your mind, where you're like, I'm just going to do this for the fun of it. When you're present, you see how all these choices that you're making from fear, you're so afraid. This really rough thing happened in the past. It was traumatic. And now you're afraid about it happening again in the future, or something not happening in the future. So you keep making these choices and living your life being a slave to time because you're addicted to time. When you're present, you see that. You see your expectations, your conditional giving, your all this other stuff that's not, there's no power there. There's like this much power. Whereas in the moment, everything expands brilliantly. So, guys, I don't want to be a time hypocrite, but half hour is good. I'm at peace with it. Thanks so much for tuning in, all you YouTube folks, present or future, quote unquote. Much appreciated. I'm going to roll, guys. See you later. And to the wisdom crowd,